Hello everybody, I'm going to make this video into putting the gear selector arm in, the pull stirrup assembly, how to adjust it from here, what to look out for. Right, what we need to start with is we need the selector in second gear, which this one is. I put it to second. So nearest to me would be first, then you've got neutral second, and what we need to do is put that washer, rubber O-ring, on the shaft. There's already a washer I've put on here on the shaft itself, and what this hopefully is doing is trying to keep out the oil from coming out the engine when the engine's running. Right, so we'll put a dab of grease on that around the top, and then if I turn the engine so that you can see what I'm trying to achieve, and what I do compared to other people. There's two ways of doing this on the gearbox. Right, so we just turn that engine slightly like that, so you can see where the hole goes in. Oh, knocking you down there, sorry. So that hole there is where the arm goes into. So there's a little dished movement there where the upper rubber O-ring goes into, and then the washer sits in there. There's no play in mine, so that's fine. It's moving right the way along. Yeah, there's no hindrance to it anywhere. So what we're also looking for is inside here. If I can get that supported, perfect. What we're looking in here is where's me? On the top of here there's a little groove, and what we're after, this washer to take up the play. So if I pull that back out again, that's how you'd normally put it in, but on top of the stirrup there's a washer, and what that does is it stops the whole mechanism from riding up and down. So if that was to move up quite a bit during changing gears and moving and riding, what you've done there is you've stopped the O-ring sealing. So what you've done is you've made a capillary so that the oil can go up and out on the top. You don't want it in on your shoes anyway. But if I show you where I put the adjuster to, so we drop that down again and just move it on its side. So I put the adjuster around there so it's in line with that, where the Innocenti sign is, if you want, on your engine block. Some people do it to there in fourth gear, and they measure about 6 mil away. So what you're trying to achieve is when it goes back into fourth gear, if I push that all the way back, that's in fourth gear now, that you can still, it actually goes into fourth gear, because that's what normally people don't do. They don't put the armature in properly, and you have problems. It jumps out of fourth gear. That's something we want to avoid here. But I think generally when you stick it in second, so that's third, second, and if I bring it forward again, that's first gear. You can see where that is. Levels first gear. Then one back would be neutral. If you think of it, you're bringing up your gears up for 1, neutral, 2, 3 and 4. So if we push it back in 1, that's neutral, and 2 is second gear. Now second gear, as I said to you before, that's where I try and line up to roughly where that stud is there, or the Innocenti logo on the top of the engine. So right, what we need to do is pull out the shaft. I'll get the light around there, you might be able to see a bit more. And we just want to put a bit of grease on the top of the stirrup just to hold that washer in. Shiny side to the casing. And what we need to do is just turn the pulls slightly so they go in. We'll put the pulls in first, top and bottom, and then just line it around up a bit more than that. Playing silly beggars with me again. So if you look where I am at the moment, this is in second gear, and my stirrup or lever is more or less in line. See how that's dropped down? That's, I would say that's perfect there. You should be able to push that down when it's in line, of course. It should just push down, and in what you can do is get a little screwdriver, stop this stirrup from moving, and then just push it home. And then just knock the lever in. Use a little hammer for that. What I'm going to do now is just move the gears. So that's fourth, it goes into fourth, and again on the top, which you can't see, they're saying about 6mm gap there. So it goes into fourth. Does it turn? Yes, it does. Third, it turns. Second, it turns. First, it turns. And what we're after now, we can stick it into neutral, not second, neutral. Set. And what we're after now is getting the, I'll probably have to stick it in seconds for you to see the hole. There's a hole in there where a bolt goes through, and what you need, that should just poke through if it's in line. That's perfect. It's gone straight in first time. And just finger tight that up. Unfortunately, we haven't got a gearbox on. I think that's about right. That's tight on the top. You see what our washer's doing there, stopping the stirrup from moving up and down. That looks fine. Right, so I can tighten up that bolt. And then we're done in that part. That's it. Bear in mind that it's only an M6, so you can't go too mad on there. So let me grab our gearbox end plate. I mean, look at that, absolutely aligned, perfect. What I always do when changing or putting parts along is just run through these holes and just clean them up, because what happens is when they're tight and the nuts are tight and they ruin the tops, and it can be hard to get that on and off. I mean, because we've got a shimmer gearbox, we want that on and off easy. I mean, that's lovely and turning there, perfect, really nice. I will be putting some gearbox oil on that. I mean, you've got to bear in mind as well, we haven't got the bearing and the spacer on there, or the shim for the gearbox. What I'm actually going to do is just put a couple of nuts back on there. Yep, they're here. I'm going to stick them all back on at the moment. I don't want to lose any. As I say, one of my friends said don't show people how to suck eggs, so it's just, as I've showed you before, put 2 nuts on, one tightened against the other one, screw them in, put a bit of thread lock on them, and Bob's your auntie. Leave them overnight to dry off, and they're rock solid. So I'm just putting them 6 gearbox end plate screws back in, and we need an 11 for that. There she is. Just finger tight, no more. When you feel them tight, and that's enough, so they don't fall off basically, and I don't lose them. At the moment, every nut and bolt is new. Washers are all new, and that rear shaft should be nice and easy to move. Around again. There you go, look how nice and easy that is. No play whatsoever. Brilliant. I'll say them tools well worth it.